I'm George Rasalan, Assistant Controller for LegalSoft. I'm a certified public accountant here in US and the Philippines. I'm also a lawyer in the Philippines. I have expertise on trust accounting. Trust accounting is managing the IOLTA's ledgers for lawyers' trust accounts. You need to manage them. IOLTA means interest on lawyers' trust account. So you need to manage the trust. Lawyers have fiduciary duty with their clients and they must be compliant with the rules set by the ABA. If they're not compliant, they may be disbarred, penalized, fines, or even criminal charges. And this is really important to do for trust accounting. Do it properly and accurately. So I'll be handling this discussion for the IOLTA reconciliation for training purposes. Our topic discussion for today are broken to 8 items. The IOLTA concept and principles, the purpose, the concept of three-way reconciliation, the importance of IOLTA reconciliation, the reconciliation process, best practices, common mistake, the consequences of non-compliance, and I'll show you one of our company's actual reconciliation process and then some recommendations for kill and arrow. What is IOLTA concept and principles? These slides represent the essential elements, parties involved in a trust funding accounting. We have the lawyers, we have the bank, we have the client, and we have the State Bar of California who is applying for the standards ethical for the lawyers, because the lawyers and the clients must have a fiduciary relationship to guide the clients in distributions. So we have the lawyers here, and then the fund will go directly to the bank. The lawyer will set up a trust fund specifically for those items that are needed for trust, and then distribution to the client and the lawyers and referrals, and then the state of bar. Why is the state of bar present in the process? Because they are the one guiding and providing the ethical values for the lawyers, and then they have an interest. This is the interest from the trust fund. The interest being used or pooled to cover the charitable and legal aid of the State Bar of California. IOLTA is an interest on lawyers' trust account. It's a special pooled trust account for unearned client funds. It holds money that's too small or will be held for too short of time to generate net interest per individual client. How it works: the interest earned at the full fund is automatically remitted to the State Bar to fund the legal aid and other charitable causes. So the interest is being held and transferred immediately after the interest being earned to the State Bar of California. The ethical obligation of attorney: it's a fiduciary duty to keep client funds separate from their own operating fund. This is the business entity principle. Operating trust must be separated to each other. Don't commingle the funds because it's a legal obligation of the attorney to keep it separate. Let's go to the purpose and setup of the rules. IOLTA is being funded from different clients that are either nominal in amount or held in short-term period. It must be pulled together in the IOLTA account. Example of these are retainers, advance payments, court fees, and settlements. What funds not to put in IOLTA? These are the large fund amounts held for a long time. This must be separated as interest-bearing trust accounts for the sole benefit of the client. The client received the interest from the account. So if the trust is taking a long time, it will go directly to the client, not to the State Bar. Eligible institutions are open at financial institutions designated only by the State Bar as eligible. These institutions have agreed to remit all interest earned on the pool funds directly to the State Bar for distribution to legal aid organization. How do we set up the bank for IOLTA? So client fund must be held account separate from your personal or business account to prevent commingling of accounts. This account is labeled trust account or IOLTA account. Use an approved financial institution. Not all banks are qualified to do the trust funding accounting. So only those approved by the State Bar are authorized to open an IOLTA account. So please check if you're trying to open an account to the bank. Please check if the bank is allowed or approved by the State Bar. Properly titled account. Ensure the bank uses the State Access to Justice Foundation tax ID for IOLTA accounts, not your firms or clients. Do not use debit cards or ATM. Prohibit the use of debit cards and ATM withdrawals from the IOLTA account to prevent easy and unethical access to the client funds. How to manage the fund? Promptly deposit the funds. Once you receive checks from the insurance or any other institution requiring for the trust, you must immediately deposit the funds. Do not wait to deposit checks. And then disburse against clear fund only. When the case has already been settled, we need to disburse but wait for the signature and confirmation of the client confirming the distribution of the amount. Do not use IOLTA fund to the bank fees. Small, specific amounts of your firm's money can be deposited to cover reasonable bank fees, but these fees must never be paid directly from the client fund. Ideally, choose an institution that waives IOLTA fees. Immediately withdraw earned fees. Once your fees have been earned according to the client agreement, transfer the IOLTA account to firm's operating account. Leaving earned fees in trust account is a form of commingling. So for example, the client is already settled and signed the disbursement fee. You must immediately take take out all the fees involved to that client, the client distributions, and the firm's or the lawyer's share. Because leaving the share of the lawyer in the IOLTA fund is considered as form of commingling. Record keeping. Maintain record and detailed records. Keep meticulous and accurate up-to-date records of all transactions for both overall trust account and for each client's matter. The American Bar Association recommends retaining these records for at least 5 to 7 years, but check your state-specific requirements. For California, it's 5 years. Create a clear audit trail. Your record should include supporting documentation such as bank statements, deposit slip, and check images. Record transaction promptly. To prevent errors and maintaining accurate balance, log all trust transactions immediately after they occur. Reconciliation and oversight. Perform monthly three-way reconciliation. This is the most critical best practice. Every month, you must ensure that the following three match total exactly: the reconciled bank statements, the firm's overall trust account ledger, and the sum of all individual client ledger balances. In the next succeeding slides, we will show you how to do the three-way and the daily, monthly, and daily reconciliation of IOLTA. So we must implement internal controls, and the lawyers must supervise the staff doing the reconciliation. The firm must have a wide policies to the IOLTA in terms of IOLTA transactions. Utilize special legal accounting software. We use FileBind, Clio, QuickBooks, or even Google Sheet. Provide client education. Clearly communicate your billing practices and how trust accounts file will be managed during the initial engagement with clients. Send regular statements to improve transparency. So this is being done by the operations. The client is being communicating to the client. And establish a written procedure. Clearly create internal policies for trust account management that all staff must follow. This helps standardize procedure and avoid confusions. Let's start with the three-way reconciliation. The concept of the three-way reconciliation, the gold standard is to match, verify three separate records. The records must be matched exactly without any excess or deficit. The three records includes the trust bank accounts. This is the bank statements being given by the bank at the end of the month. So firm's internal trust ledger, the law firm's record of all transactions for the entire trust account. You can check this one to your QuickBooks or Clio or FileVine. And individual client ledger, so it will be present also in QuickBooks. But we can set up a separate monitoring that is very easy for daily reconciliation. We'll show you later how to set it up. Our goal is to ensure that the reconciled bank balance, the firm trust ledger balance, and the sum of individual client ledgers are identical. Why is IOLTA reconciliation important? Important in terms of ethical compliance, protect client funds, prevent fraud and errors, mitigate disciplinary action, ensures audit readiness, and uphold professional reputations. The reconciliation process is step by step. Number one is you gather all your documents. Documents means the three documents that we have already discussed. The bank statements, the trust account, individual trust account. Or check if your FileVine or Clio have anything that would give you informations regarding your clients. The bank statement reconciliation, this is the very normal reconciliation, comparing the bank against the internal ledger to find the discrepancies. So every month, we do monthly reconciliation for banks. Compare the transaction, the deposit, the withdrawals, and account for the timing difference, and adjust the bank balance. Calculate if there's a deposit in transit or outstanding checks. At the end of the month, the bank and the QuickBooks must be matched at all times. The individual client ledger reconciliation confirmed that the total amount held for all clients matches your firm's overall internal record. So in your QuickBooks, you have to set up a trust account payable or trust accounts, and the total trust account must match with your balance in the bank. And then when you click the trust fund payable, it will show the individual trust inside the trust accounts payable. So you create a client balance list and then compare the totals. The three-way cross-verification, compare the adjusted bank balance to the firm trust ledger balance and total of all client ledgers. These three numbers must match perfectly. If there are numbers that do not match, investigate and resolve the error immediately before proceeding. Common errors include data entry, misallocation of payments, forgotten banks, or no class at all. Document review. We have once the three balances match, you must complete the process with documentation. Keep a clear record of reconciliation, including any correction made, and then signed by the attorney, and then you file the records. Here are the best practices for IOLTA reconciliation. We have to reconcile daily, monthly. We'll do example later for this one. Implement internal control, segregation of duties. The one who is depositing must not be the one recording, or the one disbursing is not the one maintaining the bank. Use IOLTA compliance software. We already used Clio, QuickBooks, and FileVine. Train and supervise staff. Keep complete records 5 years to 7 years. Never commingle funds and resolve issues immediately. The common mistake and preventions, we have mistake number one. Usually, the IOLTA funds were commingled commingled. The issue here is illegally mixing firm or personal funds with client funds in the IOLTA account. Operating accounts is for the operation of the business. IOLTA account is for trust accounts held by the state bar. How to prevent this issue? Maintain a strict separation. Deposit a small documented amount of the firm money only to cover bank fees. If permitted by your state bar, never pay firm expenses directly from the IOLTA account. The separate accounts, all clients must be kept separately from attorney or business personal account. This is one of the most serious rules, and violating can lead to attorney's disbursement. No borrowing. You cannot borrow or use funds from the IOLTA account for any firm or personal expenses, even if you intend to repay it later. Handling earned fees. As soon as the fees earned, it must be promptly transferred from IOLTA account to the firm's operating account. Leaving earned fees in the trust account is considered commingling. Exception for bank fees. A small specific amount firm money can be placed in IOLTA account to cover bank services, but this is only for an exemption. Mistake number 2, failing to reconcile it monthly. Letting monthly reconciliation tax slide, allowing small errors to compound into major problems. How do we prevent? Establish a consistent non-negotiable monthly deadline for completing the three-way reconciliation. For our entities, we usually close our books every 10th. So before 10th, the three-way reconciliation must already been done, because closing the books means all accounts had been reconciled, including the IOLTA account. The three-way reconciliation, the IOLTA bank statements, the firm's overall IOLTA ledger, and individual client ledger must be reconciled monthly to ensure they all match. Any discrepancy must be investigated and resolved. Ignoring a negative client balances, this means you have used another client's money and it's a serious violation, and the attorney may be subject to disbursement. Mistake number 3, inadequate record keeping. Missing or disorganized record make it impossible to produce a clean audit trail. Prevention. How do we prevent this? Document every transaction completely with date, amount, purpose, and client matter. Use the practice management software to help automate or organize records. In doing the deposit and disbursement for IOLTA, you must include the case name. That's important. And then if there are similar case name, it must be the client's birthday name, date of birth, and address. Everything must be identified in the checks, whether it's in deposit or in disbursement. Then, detailed records. The lawyer must maintain complete and accurate and up-to-date records of all transactions for each client. Common mistake and preventions. For mistake number 4, we have disbursing uncollected funds. Writing checks or making payments against deposit before it has fully cleared the bank. This is a special risk with the fraudulent checks. Sometimes attorney already, when the client is being irritated and they wanted to release their checks, but the case has not been yet settled, usually the lawyer will just send the checks to the clients, but that's a very risky part on them. It may be subject to great violation. How do we prevent that? Always wait for the funds to clear before disbursing the money from client's account. How do we handle this one? We prompt the deposit. After depositing, we notify the clients, and then prompt disbursement and proper accounting title. So in this process, when you receive the funds from the insurance or any other institution, you must deposit immediately the fund and then notify the client, and then prepare the disbursement distributions. Mistake number 5, for internal controls. The issue, assigning all trust account responsibility to a single individual, increasing the risk of unintentional mistake as well as potential fraud. How do we prevent this one? Separate responsibility by assigning different individuals to handle deposit, perform reconciliation, and conduct review. The responsible attorney must retain the final oversight at all times. Mistake number 6 and number 7, we have to charge bank fees to the IOLTA. This is a very serious violation. Charging bank fees to IOLTA. It must be covered by the operating account. And how do we prevent it? Set up operating account to cover bank and processing fees. Using the unearned funds. Withdrawing client funds before the firm has earned them. Please ensure that it's fully settled and the client has signed the disbursement schedule before transferring any funds to the operating account. The consequences of non-compliance, it includes professional discipline, legal malpractice, damage to professional, and criminal charges according to American Bar Association. Ethical violation, breaching the fiduciary duty and ethical rules for attorney. Disciplinary action, penalties from the state bar, which can include fine, suspension, or disbursement, loss of client trust, malpractice claim, and even criminal charges. In cases of severe misappropriation, criminal prosecution is possible. Do you have any question before we proceed with the actual training for reconciliations? Guys, on the Zoom?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You say that we shouldn't disperse funds unless a check has cleared, but what about in the case of like client advances?
No, the client advances, it must not be from the IOLTA.
Yeah, noted, it's not.
Yeah,
Okay.
it must be in the operating. And don't transfer operating funds to IOLTA just to cover the expenses. It's a big violation. We have this company that seek our help to reconcile their IOLTA account. The company just opened its IOLTA account in 2024, and then no reconciliation had been performed on the account since the inceptions. And then our team was engaged to conduct a full reconciliation of a IOLTA account. And then we performed the three-way matching, documentations, and then reconciliation from 2024 until today. As of August 25, the bank balance stands at 213,551.84. We checked this by the online bank system. Here, you can see the highlighted in yellow, 213,551.84. The current issues identify the company is unable to identify which clients have entrusted funds in the IOLTA account. So they don't know who are the clients in the 213,551.84 because they don't have any ledger or any supporting documents, but they have the deposit and the disbursement. So we could clearly identify where we done with the reconciliation. There is no record of individual trust account balance per client, making it impossible to determine the ownership of funds. So that's the problem for this company. So our step number one, gather all the bank statement from the start of operations. So from the date of inception until today, there's a bank statements. But the bank statements limited. You can only see the deposit and the disbursement in bulk, if not in separate account. You don't know whose client is in the check. So you need to have an access under either on the banking online or they're monitoring for the deposits. Because it's very hard to reconcile if you're using only the bank statement. The bank statement will give you the balance at the end of the month or daily balance, but you cannot determine specific clients and that deposit or disbursement. Second, we prepare a Google Sheet containing all deposit and withdrawals from the IOLTA account. So here's the sample of our Google Sheet. We have the date, the amount, the client name, the deposit amount, check number. And then we identify clients per column. So we have client number 1, client number 2, client number 3, and client number 4, and so on. So we encode all deposit and withdrawal in the Google Sheet with corresponding details and client name until you reach the initial deposit. So this will be a very clerical task. So you need to input everything on the date until the inception, the amount, and the client name. The problem with the bank statements, you don't have the client name. So here example, on August 18, they deposited 114,500. So how will you determine whose client is this? So we have to check if you have the online banking and they do it properly, they already identified the checks on the online banking. But if you don't have, you must seek for the file bind or to the controller for the details of the deposit. So it will be a very tedious or clerical work. And then if it's individual, this one, the ATM deposit of 3,200, you can easily identify it's Julian Cabrera. So this client name will be extended to the column Julian Cabrera with a balance of 3,200. After that, when you finish encoding the bank statement, you can identify the outstanding trust client's account. Remember that our balance for August 19 is 213,551.84. We already identify these clients holds these numbers. We have the IOLTA date deposit, we have the date settlement, amount released in IOLTA, and for settlement. These are the distribution. Now, we already created the ledger for each account. Here will be the individual ledger account, and then here will be the summary of the individual ledger account. Here, you can check on the bottom that they advance funds in IOLTA. So we corrected this one after we reconciled everything because 2 clients has an advance release of checks from operating to IOLTA. So this is a serious violation. We already corrected it. We disbursed immediately after we learned that one. And then there's a beginning deposit of 1,000, and then there was an error on interest adjustments that's not yet been disbursed to state bar of 184. So this match with the IOLTA account as of August 19. So we match. This is the daily Recon Trust account. This is the Trust Subledger account, and then the 3-way reconciliation, the bank balance, the trust ledger account, and the QuickBooks and FileVine. It's total to 213,351.74. So the 3-way matching is held. So we could start now the daily and monthly reconciliation after. When we first reconcile all the composition of the IOLTA accounts as of August 19, we already know who are they and what amount are they holding. Once the IOLTA account has been fully reconciled, we're recommending implementing the daily reconciliation procedure. So after August 19, we already have a 3-way daily reconciliation to ease up the monthly reconciliation because it will be a bulk if we have a lack of deposit and disbursement in the coming future in a month. This practice will ensure real-time accuracy, reduce risk, simplify month-end reconciliation, and align with the State Bar of California guidelines. Reminder for QuickBooks, please set up your QuickBooks to use class to monitor and match the Google Sheet template that we have created. So this Google Sheet will have the same numbers with the QuickBooks. When you clearly identify or put class in every trust accounts payable. So this will be the Google Sheet, a template, and the QuickBooks template will be basically the same as this. So let's go with the daily reconciliation procedure. Number one, we receive a deposit in IOLTA account. So after we fully reconciled as of August 19, we can do daily reconciliation and three-way matching daily. So here on October 14, we receive a deposit of 87,140. So in the banking online, you could identify this is a bulk deposit. So you have two clients. We have A. Lopez and Thomas Prizer deposit. So here, if you are doing it on a monthly, you don't know who are those clients that are in 87,140. So here in the daily, you already check out and map out the clients involved for this deposit. So the best practice is one deposit, one trust account. But if the deposit is in bulk, you can get the details in online banking by clicking the checks. If the check does not provide the client's name, check the FileVine or the Clio. Then we record the deposit in the Google Sheet. This is the Thomas Prizer trust account. So the deposit of 87,140 composed of two clients. We have A. Lopez and Prizer, but we'll be doing Thomas Prizer trust account. So in our Google Sheet, you put the date of deposit. We have three checks. We have Adrian Lopez, Thomas Prizer, and Thomas Prizer. Please separate each transaction and each check on the Google Sheet. Like on 10/10, there's a 43,400 check for Thomas Prizer with a check number 772 ending, and a 10/10, 39,240 Thomas Prizer, check ending 955. So the ledger account would be putting up to Thomas Prizer and A. Lopez. And the column Thomas Prizer, you extend the 43,400 and then you extend 39,240 and A. Lopez at 45. Record the deposit in QuickBooks under the trust settlement payable. To track trust activity by the client, enter the client's name in the class field. So your QuickBooks must be at a level of professional, or it must have the highest fee. I think it's 175 to give you access for class. So here we have to put Adrian Lopez on the QuickBooks and Thomas Prizer, but we'll be doing Thomas Prizer. Please verify the deposit is updated in FileVine under the client's name. So here the FileVine, you have Thomas Prizer versus Allied Universal. The FileVine should include all relevant details, including the check information. So usually the operation will update that FileVine and put the check deposited here, and then update what settlements and other distributions that need to be needed in Thomas Prizer account. After that, when the law firm prepares the distribution, they will notify accounting and send the signed settlement disbursement. Accounting must verify the settlement disbursement distribution and compare it to the settlement contract, because we have two contracts here. Number one, when the clients agree to be handled by the lawyer, and then the distribution settlement fee. Amount payable to client is 43,400 with the share of the fee, share of the lawyers, and any referral fee. So our policy here is we prepare the checks as well as the transfer to operating at once. So everything would be closed at the same time. And then once the check is released and cleared, update the Google Sheet to reflect the release and the clearing of the check. So on 10/16, we release 39,240 to Thomas Prizer. So we put extend here and the column Thomas Prizer, and then another check disbursement of 43,400 under the client name Thomas Prizer. This is online check, online transfer to 2595. This is our operating. So meaning this is for the firm, 43,400. So then update the expenses in the FileVine. After you update the Google Sheet, update the FileVine, and then in the QuickBooks, verify the settlement trust payable balance under the client name is 0. So when you set up the QuickBooks and with the trust and class in the trust account payable, the name Thomas Prizer, this one, must be equal to 0. Everything is distributed. And then in the Google Sheet, check the client ledger. It should also show a 0 account. So 0. Thomas Prizer and the Google Sheet is 0. QuickBooks, 0. FileVine, completed status. So everything match in the three-way reconciliation. The daily three-way reconciliation, the QuickBook trust settlement trust payable balance, 0. The Google Sheet client ledger account, 0. And the FileVine status close. Continue performing daily reconciliation through the end of the month, and then complete the monthly reconciliation and perform the three-way matching. So when you do the daily reconciliation, the month end would be easier and more faster. So QuickBooks, the trust, and the ledger would be matched totally. If there's an error in trust account, you can correct promptly by either transferring the excess funds or depositing the deficiency. In one of the company that we handle, we identified a lot of errors in handling IOLTA. Sometimes they distribute in excess of the settlement fund. So there's negative fund. So that's a very serious serious violation. Others, they distributed short. So we need to transfer the short to the operating or distribute to referral or to the client fund. So here, after we reconcile it, we identify what's the error, we need to correct the error and put the error, correct the distribution of plus the client name. Here, there's a lot of excess distribution, so we need to distribute, and then the deficiency we need to add. And then you can review both interest income and interest expense, the inflow and outflow simultaneously. So on August 29, you can check trust interest transfer 255, interest payment 255.16. So this must be recorded in QuickBooks in a separate account, not as offsetting, because the stake bar needs to check whether the total interest generated from IOLTA was transferred to the state bar. So we have a separate trust monitoring on interest. Don't mix this one to the regular interest income from savings or from CDs or for any investments. Just put trust interest payable. I trust interest income and trust interest expense. They will be at the end of the month, it will always be zero. But the monitoring of this is required by the ABA. Recommendations. These are the inquiries made by yours truly to Lynn regarding the status of the Quill and Arrow IOLTA account. So what's the status of your IOLTA account? We are working on reconciling all bank accounts for September. Our recommendation is questions and recommendation. Has the reconciliation set for September been completely and accurately completed properly? If so, we can identify the detailed composition of the trust account. If not, we need to begin by conducting a proper tier reconciliation and setting up individual trust ledger accounts. Where the deposit and distribution make involved, if so, are we able to break them down to identify specific components of each transaction? So whoever is doing the trust reconciliation for Quill and Arrow, I believe it's Arjun and Lovely, they need to set up the individual trust ledger account. But you cannot set up the trust ledger accounts without getting all the details, everything from the start of operation until to date.
That's going to be our challenge. Yeah, because we've been in operation since 2020.
But if you could easily identify the balance, for example, we have 2 million in the IOLTA account. As we go on, we can already identify the 2 million and the prior years, we can identify the prior years. We just need to identify the outstanding 2 million who's in a trust account.
Okay.
But if there are still 2020 that's not been released, oh, that's...
I don't think. I hope not.
Yeah, that would be a problem, a challenge for the team to dig further.
But that's something that we still need to go back and do at some
Yes.
point, right?
Yes.
5 years?
5 years, yes. So this will be our recommendations. But if you need help on doing the reconciliation, our team can guide you as long as we have free available time. Yeah, because we are doing a lot of trust accounts for Hamid's company.
Got it.
Second questions, are there any challenges, bottlenecks currently affecting the account management? So we don't have completed three-way reconciliation for trust accounts to date, and we'd like to have guidance, suggestion on how to become compliant. We're currently utilizing Clio, Filevine, Injury, and QuickBooks. I never had Clio. I only have Filevine. So I don't know if they are, I think they're the same, right? No, they're not the same. You can put the client's name, everything.
You can. I mean,
And then the balance, the distributions.
yes, that information is available.
Yeah, wow. Our recommendations is to complete the three-way reconciliation, set up the individual trust account, update both Clio and Filevine accordingly. If Clio and Filevine is not updated or the operations did not put all the disbursement, the checks in there, it would be very hard or challenge to reconcile. You need to have both documents ready. Because one of our company did not update the Filevine, so we need to check because we don't know what happened 2020, 2021, 2023. Filevine and Clio will give you the clear, bigger picture because all of the documents like check disbursement, expenses made, or if there's our settlements that sites agreements has been, so everything must be in the Clio. So ask your operation to update Clio and Filevine on a daily basis. Who is responsible for handling the three-way reconciliation? Is there appropriate segregation duties? Additionally, is there a clear communication channel established for the team involved? So you need to have a communication with the operations, the one making disbursement, and the one making deposits. What reconciliation process in place? Are there any unreconciled items? The bank accounts are reconciled monthly as part of the month-end closing. This is just a regular one. We don't do the detailed as discussed. So recommendation, we shouldn't limit reconciliation just month-end. I recommend preferring both daily and monthly reconciliations, ensuring each follows the proper three-way reconciliation process. How many employees are currently involved in money reconciliation for Clio and Filevine and QuickBooks? If we have just only two, Lovely will be the personal injury and then Arjun will be the other trust account.
We could, like right now, for example, for the Clio, as we're dispersing funds and getting checks in, Danny records them in Clio.
Yeah.
So we are doing that part of it already. We're not doing anything in FileVine. So, I don't know if you have a few minutes after this, you can maybe show me where in FileVine we can start doing it.
Okay, I'll do it with you. Do we need to explore setting up individual trust account per client, or is consolidated structure in place? There is one trust account for Lemon and trust account for personal injury. So I believe the trust account is separate in QuickBooks, right? Because they have separate account. And then we need to separate monitoring for the individual trust client for Lemon and personal injury.
Yes.
And set up the Google Sheet and then match the Google Sheet to the QuickBooks, because the one that we're preparing for the Google Sheet must be the same as in the QuickBooks. Recommendation: individual trust ledger accounts are not the same as trust account set up in bank or recorded in QuickBooks. An individual trust ledger account refers to a separate record maintaining for each client or matter within a law firm's trust account. It tracks all trust-related transactions, the deposit, disbursement, and balances that pertains specifically to the client or case. We need to set up individual trust ledger account in QuickBooks. FileVine and PU additionally recommend maintaining a Google Sheet trust ledger to help monitor movement of funds within the bank trust account. Do we have a clear breakdown of client funds currently held in IOLTA account? No. We need to set up, as mentioned previous slide, it is a requirement set by American Bar Associations. What's the start date? So 2020. So Archeline and Lovely, you need to start right away because this is a very meticulous, very clerical work to do. We need to begin reconciliation process starting from year 2020. We have 5 years retentions, but if you already identified that composition of the trust funds, that's a very good first step. Any questions?
For me, I just want to have a clarification regarding the advances. If I heard it right, it must have come from the IOLTA account, right?
Yes, we don't advance from IOLTA and we don't put money from operating just to advance from it IOLTA. It's a very dangerous and very big violation to ABA rules.
We don't do any of that.
Okay.
We don't.
Because the other entity, they advance just to release the checks for the clients. It's a very big no. Yeah, I already called your attentions.
We do plenty of advances, but they are from the operating account.
Yeah, you disburse from the operating.
Yes. I'm sorry, I do have one question. With regard to the Google Sheet, so the way your Google Sheet is set up, it looks like the company that you're working with has not as many clients as we do.
Yeah.
We have thousands upon thousands of clients. So if we set up our Google Sheet the way that you do, it would go.
But you can do it, you can extend. But if there's a limit already, you could do separate Google Sheet and then try again the reconciliation on per column.
Okay.
And then all those already been settled, you can hide it and then use another Google Sheet if it's necessary.
So if it's been settled, can we move it into a separate file, or does it need to?
Yeah, you can move it. You can move it.
Can move as long as we have record of it.
Yes,
Then
yes.
we're compliant,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, understood. Got it. That would be helpful. Oh, is some sort of an acknowledgement that we need to sign or have? Because you mentioned having the attorney sign.
Yes.
Is that a template or?
You can do it on your own as long as at the month end, the reconciled balance for Trust IOLTA, the Trust Fund Ledger, and the total matches, and then let your attorney sign.
And it has to be an attorney who signs?
Who's registered in ABA.
Okay, so that would be Jonathan or Heather. That way. Okay, got it.
Thank you very much for attending my training on IOLTA. I hope you learned something new today. If you have any questions, just feel free to email me at my Gmail, george.rasalan@legalsoft.com, or reach out to your LegalSoft representative. Thank you.